Hello everybody, welcome to the Prog Connection, and in today's video we are doing a quick little video talking about our top 10 Prog keyboard players, a fairly understandable and very easy subject to talk about for about a few minutes. Dad, why don't you go ahead and say something? Just
Well, obviously, son, as the keyboard player in Benjamin's Kite, I think that prog is one of the most keyboard-oriented musics that has ever been in rock and in general, but keyboard player is immensely important in this kind of music, and prog keyboard players are known for their uh, abilities and technical expertise and sound palette, right? Making the
mhm.
music the way it sounds. So I think it's an extremely important thing. And I feel like on this particular episode that I have particular expertise in this because I play keyboards in a prog band, so I know
Mhm.
quite a lot about it. That doesn't mean that my opinion matters more than other people's opinion.
It could.
But I do think that I know quite a bit, and anybody wants to hear how what I do, check out Benjamin's Kite, available on Zoli everywhere, right?
Pretty much. Pretty much. Why not we get started? And why not you say your 10th first?
Number 10?
Yeah, why not?
Number 10 was actually kind of difficult for me because it's easy to get the first 7, 8. That was easy, but after that, there are a lot of people who could have been included who are fantastic keyboard players. And so I understand, and the people watching this video should understand that the list is mostly subjective. It's my taste, and but I also wanted to try to be a little bit objective. And so I had like 5 or 6 names. And in the end,
Oh.
I came down to Richard Wright from Pink Floyd is my number 10.
Great pick. Sorry, I
I
was
think
killing a
that
mosquito.
his keyboard playing in Pink Floyd is iconic.
Yeah.
I know that it's got a little bit of that sort of jazz, but it also has sort of the beginning of that ambient mood sound that other people have gone on to try and recreate that.
Yeah.
Like this guy in the Porcupine Tree, Richard Barberi, but isn't it? Is that the guy's name?
Barbieri.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't particularly like his playing. He's not really much of a keyboard player, just creating sounds and stuff. And that's not enough, you know? I mean, it's fine if you're just going to be in the background, but Richard Wright actually contributes, right? He contributed to the writing, and he was a singer as well, but I'm not going to judge him on his singing. I just think
Right.
that his style, mostly based on Hammond organ and electric piano and some synths, was subtle but perfectly fit the music that they were making, and he kind of set the stage for other people who probably didn't do it near as well as him, like what you just mentioned, this guy from Porcupine Tree. They couldn't recapture his magic. So for me, I'm going to put Richard Wright at number 10.
Okay, fair
Over to
enough.
you, son.
I'll go with fairly decent prog legend Hugh Banton of Fantagraph Generator. I do really like his style. I like how he plays, and I do like the textures. I just think that for the most part, why he's not higher is because of how limited he was. Much like Tony K, but still better. I think that'll be basically my number 10. Go ahead, Dad. Number 9.
My number 9 is John Evan from Jethro Tull,
Okay.
who played on the iconic album Thick as a Brick. I think it's that his Hammond playing on that album is crazy. It's really, really, it's fantastic,
Mm.
and I don't know, it just suits my taste, and he's been a major that sort of staccato type of playing I like, and it's been an inspiration to me in my own playing. And of course, he did other things, right? He played a lot of piano on, even on Aqualung, he played a lot of piano. So,
Mm.
but it's mostly his Hammond playing, but still, it's one of the greats as far as I'm concerned. So, John Evan at number 9.
Me, I went with number 9, Dave Stewart of, I believe that would be Con and Bruford and Hatfield in the North. His stuff on Hatfield in the North is particularly very good. Plus, a lot of the patterns, a lot of the little quirks, the ability to just consistently keep up with the more jazzy inflections and chord changes throughout. Very, very well done. So, yeah, I'll go with Dave Stewart as number 9. Dad, you're number 10. I mean, you're number 8.
My number 8 is Hugh Banton from Van de Graaff. I think that it's it's mostly about the sort of classically influenced Hammond playing. That's kind of his hallmark of his style, and I particularly like it. And I'd like to do a little bit of more of that kind of thing in my own playing. So
Right.
again, I think he's one of the greats for me anyway. I know we're not in the top 5 yet, but still,
Aye.
it's good that we both had Hugh Banton somewhere on this list.
Hmm.
He's a great keyboard player and should be recognized as one of the great prog rock keyboard players,
Right.
even though mostly he's stuck to Hammond playing. But still, Hammond is important. All right, over to you.
My number 8 is the most modern keyboard player on this entire list, and probably the most modern keyboard player out of both of our lists. I will go with Thomas Bodine of the Flower Kings and his own solo career, among other projects. His creativity and technical ability are definitely up there with some of the greats. Definitely takes a lot of inspiration from a lot of those guys. Plus, it has a bit of a mood. He's a little bit of a mood guy too. So I would say that there's definitely textures in there that I can appreciate with his mood building, plus a lot of the solos that he does are just insane. So there you go. There's my number 8, Thomas Bodine. Your number 7 there, Dad.
Before I say my number 7, just let me say that's a very good pick, Sana. I love Thomas Bodine. He didn't quite make my list, but as I said at the beginning, it was very tough for the number 10 spot. And he was in consideration, but being that I'm an old fart myself, I went for the old farts. Thomas Bodine is taking a lot of his playing style from the earlier generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that as a criticism, because I think his stuff is great. It's just
Right.
that's what ended up being the deciding factor as to why he wasn't on my list.
Mm.
But my number 7 is Peter Bardens from Camel.
I
I
see.
think his style on all those early Camel albums is incredible. Playing is incredible, but I think it's really the style. What he adds to Camel's music it's crazy. So again, it's like a subjective type pick. I'm not saying he's technically the best keyboard player on my list, but he's good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really the style, right? That he adds. Like those early Camel albums just wouldn't be Camel without Peter Bardens.
Right.
Yeah. My number 7 is Peter Bardens.
My number 7 is a bit of an a little bit weird. Quirky, definitely good singer too. So stays on track on that good singer, good keyboard player as well. Carrie Minier of Gentle Giant. Very odd, technically capable, and the style that he possessed was definitely one of those that suited the 70s prog perfectly. It worked very well in Gentle Giant's favor. Pretty much everything that he does in that band with lead vocals and keyboard playing are usually top notch. It's very hard to not talk about Kerry Minier when you're talking about the best keyboard players in prog. So there you go, number 6.
Yeah, I will be speaking of Kerry Minier coming up. However, at number 6, I have Christopher North from Ambrosia. As you know, I love Ambrosia and I love the prog stuff they do, especially on the first Ambrosia album, the first couple albums.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that his style is perfectly suited to their music, and it's in a way it's kind of similar to the way that I approach playing, which is the sounds and the textures, but with some complexity, but still the textures that fit the song that you're playing. And he's kind of the master of that to me. So
Mm-hmm.
my number 6 is Christopher North.
My number 6 was a little bit of a tough spot because I didn't want to just give it to any random guy, and it's not. It's just outside the top 5. It's an important spot. I would have put Kerry Minier here. However, I figured that there's, as much as his contributions to prog are a little bit limited, the ones that he does have are incredible, and I will talk about Patrick Moraz. His work on Relayer and, of course, all the stuff that he did with Moody Blues was very, just evidently very good. The guy can play. His jazz work is insane. There's almost no insult that I can ever throw to Patrick Moraz. He's, in terms of technical ability and just sheer raw talent, he's probably a top 5 keyboard player who's lived in this generation of music since the 1900s in that era, like this modern recording technology era of music. He's got to be in the top 10, top 5.
So that's like, are you talking about like even before my time, or are you
I guess
just putting
so,
him in
yeah.
you're just putting him in the same category with me, right? Like the
Yes.
same age bracket, right?
Yes.
Anybody born before 1980
1899,
is
yeah.
basically decrepit, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I get it. I get it. It's fine.
It's the exact motive we have to have for this video. Number 5, they're dead.
My number 5 is Kerry Minier of Gentle Giant.
There you go.
I think that style that he has is iconic and quirky
Yeah.
and so classically infused that it's just, it's one of those styles that just almost moves outside of the genre into just being so classic. It's just, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't. I'm rambling a little bit. I get that, but I just obviously I love his playing, and I think that he could do everything. And he's just so.
Right.
When you think about these lists, you're thinking, okay, the top 10 is important, but the top 5 is important. So
Yeah.
who's going to hold down spot number 5? And I thought carefully of it. So Kerry Minier for me, number 5.
Understood. My number 5 is you've already covered him. An obvious talent, very good, ridiculous mind, very moody as well, but texturally, I believe he also did a lot of vocals for this band too. We'll talk about Peter Bardens, as there's not a lot to there's not a lot to unpack. He's just very technically sound, got the actual sounds and textures right. The albums that he contributed to were incredible. Plus, I mean, songwriting cred also makes sense for him. Very good songwriter. Helped a lot with Camel, even though that was mostly Andy Latimer. All right. Number 4, they're dead.
All right, so for my number four, I picked Eddie Jobson,
Mm.
mostly for his playing in UK. Again, I know he's kind of a little bit of a uh, sort of uh, an Emerson kind of keyboard player, Keith Emerson type keyboard player,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure that's where he was finding much of his inspiration. But I think also that his combination of sort of classic prog keyboard playing with his introduction of synths and the sounds that they could provide was crazy good,
Yeah.
particularly on the first UK album. You know, you can see all that stuff. And I know it's not a very popular thing to say, but I actually love the Green album. It's just, I love that album. I know his singing is not fantastic. It's passable, but it's not great. Maybe he should have got a real singer on that album, but his playing is absolutely through the roof, like it always is. And of course, he played with Tull as well, right? So number four, Eddie Jobson.
My number four, I'll go with a fairly obvious pick to put in the top five. I'll go with Rick Wakeman. Obvious technical brilliance, and yes, obvious technical brilliance in his own solo work, and he's appeared in a lot of stuff. He's a wizard, one of those big rigs that you see in Prague. If you look up Prague keyboard players, you're gonna see him probably. The big cape, the long hair, like 20 keyboards surrounding him on stage. That's the image you get out of Rick Wakeman if you're looking for him. Yeah, that's a Prague keyboard player. That's number four. Number three, dead. Three.
My number three, you know, Zoe, people would probably say that the top three keyboard players in Prague are kind of like the iconic three that everybody picks.
Oh.
But even as a keyboard player, there's a reason why those three are picked because they really are the greatest. So my number three is going to be Rick Wakeman. Again, all the stuff he did in Yes, which is just so incredible. The technique is unbelievable. But you're also right that, it's the image of the keyboard player, right? The guy with the long hair and the capes and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And standing up there with 1,000 keyboards,
Yeah.
and just playing everything under the sun. He did establish what the idea of the keyboard player was, right?
Yeah.
Not just him. There's one other person as well who's still coming up, but yeah. So for me, number three is Rick Wakeman.
Yeah. My number three is going to be the man, the myth, the legend, Keith Emerson. Uh, those first four albums are arguably some of the best prog albums of all time. Even including Brain Salad Surgery, which I still find I have trouble digesting at times. All the movements that he does, the keyboard movements, everything. Just there's a very obvious reason why he's a top three keyboard player in prog history, and he's got to be there. So it shouldn't. You look up Keith Emerson and you'll see why he's in the top three. Go ahead, do it. You'll understand. Number two, dead.
I guess my last two are going to be the obvious two, even though, of course, I do actually, I love these guys playing, so it's not like I'm just picking them because I'm supposed to say it. It's really just a matter of the order, right?
Right.
So for me, number two will be Tony Banks of Genesis. Again, probably the most copied style of anybody,
Probably.
but yeah, it's just probably the most influential person on my own playing. So it was my favorite from the time I started playing in bands at 15 years old, and up till today, he's still probably in the top two or three most influential keyboard players on my playing. But what he has done for the prog rock, genre over, particularly in the early 70s and in the mid 70s is just beyond the pale, right? It's just he's created even though he didn't have the style and flamboyance of a Rick Wakeman, it's what he was playing, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he was sitting down and he wasn't standing up and had a million keyboards around him, but it's still, you know, his use of the Mellotron in particular with the choirs and stuff is just it's copied everywhere because it's such an impactful uh style, right?
Yeah.
And his technical ability was as good as anyone's. He's just an incredible keyboard player,
Yeah.
and it's too bad that there's not any Genesis nowadays to do that kind of thing, that they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's too bad that they just kind of abandoned that kind of a thing. I guess that, I understand, getting rich and stuff is kind of important and playing pop songs to get rich makes some sense from a practical point of view.
Yeah.
But, I'm not such a major fan of the stuff he did later in the Genesis stuff, especially, the idea of abandoning the Mellotron, right? It just,
Mm.
for me, it doesn't make sense because nowadays you can have such great digital samples of those things. So you
Mm.
can still use those tones. You don't need to carry around 1,000-pound piece of furniture to get those sounds anymore. They're available to anybody who knows how to get those sounds digitally, right?
Right.
But still, that's my number two, so
My number
which
two.
means there's no mystery as to what's number one,
Fair
right?
enough. My number two is very much the same. It's Tony Banks. Again, a very revered and sought after style in Prague. A lot of keyboard players do this stuff, do this style. Mark Kelly, of course, Martin Orford. I believe the keyboard player in Big Big Train is fairly Tony Banks influenced, along with most bands that Thomas Bodine, even you can hear a little bit of that in his playing too. He's probably the most copied keyboard playing style in Prague. Understandable. So it shouldn't come to any surprise why he's number one or two. So for me, he's number two. Very good player, as technically gifted as anyone. Had a style that is still widely recognizable because so many people copy it. Now, number one.
Of course, for me, Keith Emerson,
Ah,
the guy who basically invented prog keyboard playing.
right.
Even more than Tony Banks, is probably the most copied style of anybody, and he essentially invented the idea of prog keyboard playing.
I don't know about
On
that,
that
but
first
fancy.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer album is the standard by which other keyboard players are judged, and that with all those classical influences and the iconic use of the Moog synthesizer and his Hammond playing, and of
Mm,
course his piano playing.
mm.
But the only drawback, I guess, is that he didn't seem to like the Mellotron, which is so closely tied to the classic prog rock albums of all time. And I understand that, these things were unreliable at the time and who would want to put up with that nonsense. I get that.
I get that too.
But still, for me,
Yeah.
he's the great prog keyboard player of all time. Over to you.
And my number one, I will go with Eddie Jobson. Mostly for his stuff in UK. Both albums are insane. Keyboard solos galore, similar to Keith Emerson, but add a little bit more synth jobs and a little bit more spacey sounds that are a little bit different. A little bit different textures from this guy. Very good. Plus the same technical ability as Keith Emerson. So, that's basically it. Is there anything you wanted to add, Dad, before we wrap things up?
Yeah, well, I mean, you notice I didn't have Jordan Rudess on my list, and neither did you.
Mm-hmm.
As I've said before, don't really think of Dream Theater as a prog band. They're more like a metal band with prog envy.
Mm-hmm.
And although Jordan is technically good, he's not really playing in a prog band. He's just playing in a metal band. So just, and he's not really done. I mean, I understand he probably loves Keith Emerson's playing and he's trying to copy that kind of thing a lot, but it just, Keith Emerson was owning the music. It was keyboard driven.
Yeah.
Dream Theater's not really keyboard driven, so even Tony Banks' Genesis is keyboard driven. UK was keyboard driven, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It has to be keyboard oriented music, which is what prog really is. And so again, Dream Theater's like, again, I don't like them. You know that I don't like them. And the other person I would mention, Zoe, that of course was not on my list was Jeff Downs. Although his playing in Asia was good, and his playing on drama is good, and his style fit those albums very well. He's not one of the great prog keyboard players in my mind, anyway. He doesn't have the technical chops really to be one of the great prog keyboard players. Again, I don't even think he's worthy of the top 10. So, but that's just my opinion. So, and of course, I feel a little bit sad that I couldn't include Jim Gilmore on this list. The guy from Saga, again, when I was a young sprout, wanted to listen to find my way to being a prog keyboard player, Jim Gilmore was like one of the major influences, along with someone else who's kind of forgotten, which is Dennis DeYoung, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of those Styx keyboards from the late 70s, like Equinox and
Yep.
Grand Illusion, right? I mean, he really did have some of the sort of iconic playing of those days. I think Dennis DeYoung was kind of underrated as how much his playing and his style really elevated all of their music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of, I'm sorry that I couldn't include the guy on this list. Obviously, Zoli as well. I'm sorry that I couldn't put Zoli. Maybe you know how to pronounce the name better than me, but I think a lot of people who speak English say Thij van Leer.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's Thais, I'm not sure. But I'm sorry that I couldn't put the yodeling Dutchman on my list.
Right.
But still, I'm pretty happy with the list, as I say, other than not being able to include Jim Gilmore and Thij van Leer, or Thijs, or however you say it.
Right.
And Thomas Bodine as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just put in a last mention of that, if the list was top 20, I think he might have made it. Because he is good.
Fair
He's
enough.
great, and he's really sort of iconic for sort of the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
Bringing back the prog keyboard style and incorporating all the influences from the mellotrons of Tony Banks to the Hammond playing of Keith Emerson
Mm-hmm.
and all the little synthesizer lead bits of like a Rick Wakeman. He really brought it all back and
Yep.
made it just like, like so easy for an old fart like me who discovered the Flower Kings in the mid 90s to just go, "Oh, I'm back home. This is great. And this guy can play keyboards. Wow, this is fantastic." But still, Zoe, I'm happy with my list, and
Mm-hmm.
I hope the audience is too. All right, signing off.
And I think with that, we are done. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, share, and subscribe. If you have any video suggestions for us, please leave them in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching. And as always, we will see you in the next video. Peace.